Bolt your windows. Lock your doors. Check your closets. Look under your bed. And then prepare yourself. For it's another episode of Dark Night of the Podcast.
Well, hello, Roger. How's it going?
Hello, Troy. Oh, how are you today?
I am wonderful. I have a 3-day weekend coming up because of Easter.
Luxury.
And yes, and it's already April.
Thank God for the Christians.
Thank God for the Christians. It's already April. Can you believe that?
It's crazy. It's mind-numbing.
No.
It just keeps going faster and faster, aging rapidly. Aging.
It really does. It really does. It's crazy how fast this year has gone, which is fine with me. I just want 2021 to be over with. And then hopefully, things will get better. But yeah, I was just looking at my calendar at school, and I'm like, Jesus, the end of the school year is almost here, Roger. And you know what that means?
Fucking summer?
No, it means the students will be ready to take their final exam.
Oh my God! Look at you with what a way to introduce the title of the fucking day. I knew that was coming, but I wanted to give you the chance to say it. Shy, so you can bask in the glow of your choice this week.
I can. I thought that was pretty clever.
You are clever. Always clever.
But that's the movie we're going to be discussing tonight. This lovely film from 1981.
A throwback.
That's going back there. That's really at the kind of the start of the slasher craze of the 80s.
Yeah.
I have always enjoyed this film. And watching it this time with just kind of a different perspective, knowing that we were going to talk about it. Good gosh, it's something.
It is. It is. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's directed by a gentleman named Jimmy Houston, who apparently had directed some kind of exploitative films in the late 70s, that barely anybody saw. But this was kind of his, I guess, crowning achievement as a director. And we will talk about a lot of the production stuff that went on.
Absolutely. I have my gripes, but I certainly also have there's quite a few elements of this film that I rather enjoyed. So it certainly is it's a mixed bag on my end, but I can't wait to talk about it with you, as always. And just tell me now, how are we doing? How are you? Are you good? Are things well? I haven't talked to you for a hot second.
Yeah, no, things are great. Things are chugging along. Like I said, I am looking forward to the end of the school year and summer, and hopefully some cool summer vacations. I'm excited. I think things are going to slowly start getting back to somewhat normal, hopefully. Well, I don't know. Because I guess... some other countries are still getting hit pretty hard by new variants, but whatever. We will make it. How about nothing really new horror or filmmaking wise. I did have my Houston Horror Film Festival pop-up market this past weekend, and that was a huge success.
Looked like
great
it.
Turnout. Yeah, we had a great turnout. We had some great guests. We had Tom Matthews, Linnea Quigley.
Oh, we love her.
Judy Aronson. So it was a great event.
Yeah.
And now me and Tony, my co-director of the festival, we're gearing up for the big one in June.
And we like them big.
That's the 3-day event. So yeah, guys. So if you have a film and you want it considered, think about it, or just go to the Houston Horror Film Fest website, and if you're around Houston, get your tickets and come. It's going to be a blast. We got a amazing celebrity lineup for our first year. It's just incredible.
I'm so excited. Remind the listeners again, when is that?
It's June 25th through the 27th.
June 25th through the 27th. It's coming. It's coming up, so make sure you get those tickets. That's exciting. I saw the photos. They looked great. You and your hauntingly beautiful friend Tony. God, he's pretty. Let me just say it for everyone, just so they know he's beautiful. What a beautiful man. But as are you, Troy. I mean, as are you. The men behind this film festival alone come for the eye candy. Stay for the horror movies. But no, I'm very excited to support you guys. I think it's a great event, and God, I gotta get out to Houston for one of those. It's funny because my the next few months are kind of like hectic for me. First of all, I just got back from Atlanta, which I loved. But my God, the gaiety, the gays everywhere, gays. But God, I had a really good time. But already in 2.5 weeks, I'm going to Colombia. I'll be in Colombia for about 6 days. And then next month I'll be in Cancun. So bing, bang, boom. I got some stuff going on. June is, I think, the one month I really don't have anything in the sense of traveling. I am filming a few things. I just signed on to a queer slasher called Leviticus. Bet you can only guess what that has to do with. Christian nonsense. But it is a slasher called Leviticus. I'm excited for that. That starts filming in June. Yeah. In 1 week, I literally signed on to 5 films. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on, but I think filmmakers are breaking out of their homes now after everything's getting better because everyone's getting their vaccines, and they're just making things. And, I'm thankful for it. So I'm filming over the next 2 months. I'm going to be filming a lot. I'm really kind of excited to fill my dead air time with projects and start feeling of use again.
Yes, that's awesome. That's awesome. I need some of their motivation to get back into getting some projects going because I have them. I really do, but I'm just like whatever.
I know you do. I know, but it's going to be good when it happens.
It is. But you know what? I'm taking a break because I made 3 movies in a span of 3 years. So I think I deserve a little bit of a break. Even though there's some people that apparently make their living making 50 films in a year, but we won't talk about that. But.
I mean, you know what? I have a career that I actually have to do that's not making movies. If I could, I would. But I'm happy if I get one done every couple of years. So, more power to them.
More power to them.
It sounds exhausting. Exhausting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
you know what else is exhausting?
Final
Taking exams.
Yeah.
Especially when they're your final exams. Did I work for a segue? Did that work? Well, that was kind of clunky, but
it'll have to do.
That'll do, pig. That'll do.
We're not recording. We're not re-recording. We're gonna go with it.
We're just gonna run with it.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh God.
So final exam. Let's get right to it because people probably don't want to hear us blabber about what we're doing for 20 minutes. But whatever.
Ain't it the truth?
You're gonna listen anyway.
Yeah.
There's a little forward button you can drag to get past all the pre-talk. But
just wait till we start including commercials when we get real big.
Yeah.
For jockstrap lines and anyone will sponsor us. But yeah. Till then, you got nothing but us. Lucky you guys.
Yes, we're not that important yet to have someday. So yeah, final exam. This is a 1981, like I said, 1981 slasher flick. And so if you think about that time frame, this really was the beginning of the slasher craze. So Final Exam is definitely one of the first of the 80s slasher flicks. And if you know anything about the production, I kind of dug a little bit into it. It was basically the studio's attempt to cash in on and create their own Halloween.
Oh, and how does it show?
Yes, it does.
It shows.
In fact, they really wanted... basically, the producers wanted to rip off Halloween. I mean, they wanted shot-for-shot scenes that came exactly from Halloween. And they
often did.
They often did. The only saving grace with the film, where it turned out, I think, a little bit Different than Halloween, instead of just a carbon copy clone, because there are films that I think are very much copies of Halloween.
Yeah.
But this one does its own thing, and it's because of the director. The director is like, no, I'm doing my own thing with this film. I understand what the studio wants, but I'm stepping in as a director, and I'm not going to simply copy a movie.
Yeah. Well, I'll already say it. In my opinion, I mean, listen, I'm a Halloween purist. I'm a Halloween 2 purist. At that, I love the first 2 entries to the series. I dare say that there are moments of this film where the cinematography, I would say, is almost more fluid and prettier.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Yes, I noticed that the cinematography in this film is actually very good.
Yes,
and there are some really cool transitions in the film that a film of this, like what it is. I wouldn't expect that they would care that much to make it look as good as it does, because again, they went into this making a carbon copy of Halloween, so they kind of did not have to do a lot of the little stuff that makes this film, I think, stand out a little bit more than a lot of the other slasher films. But let's get to it. The film opens with I like the score, the piano score that's at the opening of the film, where we see it opens with shots of a very picturesque college campus.
Very picturesque.
Yeah, it's very pretty. And we are introduced to this couple that are making out in a convertible. And the girl is kind of playing a little bit of, I don't want to do this here, and the guy's like, well, again, it's some interesting dialogue. I don't know if you actually listened to the dialogue. I'm sure you did. But it was very, like, interesting. It's like the dialogue in this movie also does not deserve to be as good or in-depth as it is.
Yeah, I agree. And, the way I looked at that opening is, like, we've seen that before. Even before, this era, the early 80s, when they really started to dive into the the slasher genre and really starting to become what it is known as today, even in like sci-fi tropes and everything, you always have that like lover's lane concept, the couple making out on the hill. That's something that we've seen before, but there's something about the way this one played out that there is like a natural, maybe it was like her, like kind of like the way her, she was kind of resistant to it, but it's not like everything seemed really over the top. The dialogue that they shared with each other seemed kind of dead on. Like, I don't know, I really enjoyed the opening, even though it's something I've seen so many times over and over before in so many different variations. This one stood out to me, and I thought it was really well executed, even up to the climax of the sequence, aside from how it concludes. I wish I got a little bit more, but I thought it was a really well played out sequence for being such a trope,
It is, and you're right. It is a scene we've seen dozens of times before in horror films. Lover's Lane. Think about how many movies we've seen where a couple is parked in a car and the killer shows up. This one is a little bit more subtle though, because it's not like the killer. Like, there's not a lot of like stalking, like lead up into the killer approaching them, if you know what I mean. In a lot of these scenes that are in other films, we get a lot of like POV shots of the killer watching them and slowly approaching. We really don't get that here. It's handled a little bit differently. It's more, like I said, it's more subtle. It's more deliberate. And I do like the two characters. I like their dialogue. She is resisting, but he's not being overly like bearing, like you see a lot of times with like a college age kid wanting sex. He's not like trying to force it. He's really listening to her. He's trying to calm her nerves. She's a little bit nervous being out in the open in a car. She doesn't want to get caught. He's like, oh, well, he does have a little quip where he's like, well, I've spent all my money on hotel rooms with you already, so we don't really have a choice, And she's like, no, you spent it on beer. And he's like, well, you drank it, so, But anyways, he gets her in the back seat of the car, and then they start making out. And the killer does approach, but it's pretty quick. She hears the killer. She's like, who's out there? Someone starts shaking the car. He thinks it's his football jock friends from college, so he's like, I'm gonna go kick some ass. And she's like, "Oh no, stay in here. Let's just go." And all of a sudden, like someone jumps up on the hood of the roof of the car, and you get this really eerie shot, I think, of the killer's face, like plops down on the windshield, and it's like. This killer is a weird looking character. Let's just put it out there.
God. He looks like remember like in like the early 2000s there was that Starburst commercial where it's like berries and cream, I'm a little boy that likes berries and cream. Remember that commercial?
I don't remember.
The killer looks like a little Lord Fauntleroy kind of character. He has like a dramatic bowl cut that looks like something you'd see in like a large-eyed child painted in like a hanging up in an art museum, like wearing like a Shakespearean collar. It's that kind of hairstyle, and it takes away any fear element in him as a person, in my opinion.
And we will get there.
Yes.
We'll talk about that. But yeah, and he has like a chubby round face. It's like very cherubic looking.
Very cherubic.
And it just flops down on the windshield. And I'm like, what the hell?
He's like if the mask from Valentine fucked Michael Myers' mask and then became a real face. That would be this killer.
With a shaggy bowl cut.
With a sensible bowl cut.
It's a bowl cut. Good lord. But anyway, so immediately the killer like slashes the hood of the top of the convertible, and the guy's like, "Oh, we better get away!" And he like hops in the front seat and starts to like drive away. But the killer is like some super strength person throughout the whole film.
Yes.
And like grabs the guy by his throat, rips him out of the car, and like immediately starts stabbing the shit out of him on the hood of the car.
Yeah.
And it's not terribly bloody. I mean, this movie is not terribly bloody at all. That's one of the issues that I think horror fans have with this film that I hear a lot about is it's not very violent or graphic. And that was, again, by choice by the director. The director did not want the film to be... he actually was shooting for a PG rating for this film.
What?
Yeah.
Why? Well, I guess PG back then was a different...
Yeah, well, Poltergeist is PG. They didn't have the PG-13 rating back then, but he wanted the rating to... He was shooting for a PG rating because he thought that it would the film would appeal to a younger audience and get them hooked on horror. I don't know. But the producers were like, hell no. And there's one shot that they kind of put in the film to ensure that it would get an R rating, and we'll get there later. But yeah, he stabs the guy on the hood of the car, and then the girl is just like screaming her head off. She doesn't try to get out of the car to run. Like, there's ample time for, like, if I see my boyfriend being pulled out of the car, I'm going to immediately exit the car and run my ass off, particularly because they're not really in a secluded area. Like, they're on college campus. She could have got out and ran to anywhere, but she's like, just screaming her head.
But were they in a 2-door or were they in a 4-door? I can't remember, because I think they were in a 2-door because they climbed in the back. Maybe I'm wrong.
You could be right, but the killer fucking just cut a big slash through the convertible roof, climb your ass out of the roof and run. Don't just
fight.
Yeah,
do something.
She just sits there and screams, and then it cuts to the beautiful Lanier College where the film takes place.
It is beautiful.
It is. It's very picturesque. I want to go there. It was filmed in I think North Carolina, Beaufort, North Carolina.
We can go in full drag, and I'll dress up as Lisa, and you can dress up as Courtney.
Oh, Courtney.
And we'll just wander. We'll just wander the halls in those ensembles. Yeah.
But speaking of Courtney, the film opens with the film after the opening scene. And we get Lanier College. We are introduced to Courtney, who is basically just reading on the stairs of the bell tower, which is very foreshadowing.
Yes.
And she is just... we'll get to Courtney. I like Courtney.
Yeah, me too.
A lot, and I wish... Well, I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but I wish she got a little bit more credit as a really good final girl than she does. I never see her mentioned.
No.
And in fact, but when I made my list for my site Fright Meter several years ago, I made my list of top 10 best final girls in slasher history. She's on it.
I would say that I would agree with that, to be honest. The final 15 minutes of this, she earns her place on that list.
And unfortunately, the actress is Cecile Baghdadi. Unfortunately, she's never done another film. This is her only film credit. So that's...
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know.
Really?
And she's good.
She's beautiful. She has almost kind of a young Carrie Fisher kind of look to her.
Yes.
She's very lovely.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Yeah, so the bell rings. I didn't know college had... I don't know. I didn't know colleges had bells, but apparently they do. The bell rings, and then you are introduced to two other girls that are outside leaving the building, and it is Elizabeth, who is, I mean, very underused. And she is just like this, kind of like this dorky looking, dumpy looking girl. And
she's almost like the equivalent of like a comedic relief in some ways. Like everything, she's like, like when there's one point where like one of the characters is playing a card game, and literally she's like, "What are you doing?" And then she just starts taking the cards and like going through them. It's like she's very
she's
simple.
That's the good word. I was gonna say dopey, but simple works.
Yeah.
And I don't. Yeah, she's under because she's the only like character that we actually kind of follow or get to know a little bit that doesn't get killed, and we don't ever know what happens to her. So that's kind of
or at least become involved in the situation. Yeah,
because then the other character she is walking with is the lovely, beautiful Janet, who is played by none other than Sherry Willis Birch, who, I don't know if you know this or not because she looks completely different, but have you ever seen the other 80s slasher movie called Killer Party?
No. I know of it, but I've never seen it.
That is one we are definitely going to cover at some point. But all of my Killer Party fans, she plays Vivia, who is like one of the most memorable 80s characters from a slasher flick, period. So you need to see Killer Party. We will cover it because she's Vivia, and that looks completely different. But yes, I'm
going to say that Janet, man, she takes that performance and she knocks it up to 1,000. Because it's big. It's a lot of big reactions, a lot of big vocal tones, a lot of big facial responses. There is nothing subtle about Janet. I almost feel she gives off like at first I genuinely thought maybe she was supposed to be kind of slow or something, because her reactions to things are just not very rational, especially when compared to the other characters who are written pretty realistically for the most part. Like the dialogue in this and the characters in this, even the unlikable characters in this, are handled pretty well. But then there's Janet, and she's gnawing on the scenery. She is hogging the camera, and just big choices.
Well, again, it's if you need to watch Killer Party, because it's a completely different type of character, and people that have seen Killer Party love Vivia. She's like just this amazing character. So it's really interesting to see her in this. This was her first film. I don't think she's bad. I just think that she's playing the character almost too immature. Like she's a college-age student, but she's walking around literally acting like she's a 12-year-old girl that's in love for the first time.
Yeah, she's very naive. She has like doe eyes. Everything is like, oh,
because she has her new little boyfriend Gary, who we'll get to. He's not introduced yet. I like Gary. He's such a cutie. But anyway, so they're walking, and Courtney comes out, and we get this other dude that shows up. That unfortunately, his name. And I know what his name is because I went into the IMDb. His name is never mentioned once in this film, ever. I watched this film 4 times in the past week, and his name is never mentioned. And it's really... Did you catch it?
Wait, are we talking about
no,
Radish?
We're talking about the frat president.
Oh, wait, the one in the brown shirt?
Yeah, the one with the night...
Yeah, no, it is mentioned. His name is Mark.
I never heard anybody call him Mark.
He says in the gym, he's calling out and he says, "It's Mark." Like that's how I found, because I was listening for it because I didn't know who he was. Yeah, that's the only time that you hear him say it, because I was like,
who the fuck is this guy? He's cute.
His ass is kicking. Oh my god! Just wait. Just wait. I mean, he doesn't take his pants off, but God, those tight
the
pants.
tight khakis throughout the whole film. But he is, God. I'm sorry. I never caught that. Maybe I definitely missed that because I'm like, this is interesting because he's a main character and his name now apparently is said one time, which is weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is Mark, right? Is that correct?
It is Mark. Okay, it is Mark. Yeah. But anyway, so he runs up to Courtney and like has some conversation with her about like how he hates chemistry, and they're on their way to take their chemistry final exam, and he's like, I hate chemistry. I have to get an 82 because if I don't get an 82, my parents are gonna stop paying for my car. And Courtney, bless her heart, is trying to act like she cares, and you could tell she's like, fuck you, you spoiled piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like, really, shut up. And then, perhaps the best character in the movie comes running up.
Without a doubt.
And it is, bless his little heart.
His little radish heart.
His little radish heart. It's Radish.
Listen, this guy is the equivalent of, like, a ducky from 16 Candles to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's like...
Yeah.
He is just such a nerd, but unabashedly so. He's not trying to change that aspect of who he is. But he embraces it.
He embraces it. Yes, he does.
Yeah, and that makes him endearing. It does. It makes him endearing.
He's very endearing, and right away we know that he is like he loves apparently like he must love horror. And he loves like death because he runs up to them excited that the two students were killed at the beginning of the film. He's like, oh my God, did you hear what happened at Mercy College? Two co-eds, or it was a mass murder. 2 people were killed brutally. And he's all excited about it. And then Mark gets excited. He's like, oh, wow, cool. But 2 people, that's not a mass murder. And he's like, in the meantime, he's carrying like an armful of books.
Because he's also brilliant, as he mentions multiple times.
Yeah. And I just, there's something endearing about it. Okay, so I'm going to say this. There are also a lot of, I feel like, elements of this film that Kevin Williamson must have seen when he wrote the Scream script. Because I'll get to what I think they are, but one of them is this character. I feel like this character of Radish is definitely a inspiration for Randy in Scream. I think that if you think about Evil Laugh, which we covered a couple episodes ago, the one guy in Evil Laugh, what was his name? The one that was Barney. I think that Kevin Williamson must have seen Evil Laugh and Final Exam and took the character of Radish and Barney and made Randy.
Yeah. Plus, I honestly think there's been so many, now that we've sat down and watched so many films, I really think he must have just sat down with every obscure slasher title possible and just taken elements of so many of them, because
that's exactly what he did. I love I'm not bad I'm not bad mouthing that at all. So yes, no, he absolutely did, and I love Scream. I'm not bad mouthing him at all. But yeah, I mean, if you think about even like Scream 2, Randy ironically mentions the movie Final Exam, so he had to have seen this film. So I just thought that was interesting. So anyway, you are introduced to these characters, and so far they're pretty likable, and then you get the one kind of jock wild man. Oh, and another thing is these characters in this film love wearing shirts that have their name on them. If only Mark would have had a shirt with his name on it, because Gary has his name on his shirt, and then Wild Man runs up in this red T-shirt that says Wild Man, and it's on the front and the back, and he knocks poor Radish's books out of his hand. And it's like, Rah! And runs into the building, and so I guess that's our introduction to Wild Man.
A few things with this whole sequence here is, first of all, it's one of the early points where you really start to see some of those Halloween influences. The follow shots, the walking shots, the pan shots with them as they're walking across the campus. Extremely reminiscent of Halloween. As any viewer, I think, will see as they watch this and will acknowledge. And then regarding Wild Man, I honestly think he's one of the best played characters in the film.
Yes, the actor is really good.
He is perfect in this role. He is There's no shame. He just lets it all go. Like, he plays this asshole so well, and he's just disgusting, and he's completely aware of it. He seems very ahead of his time, almost, in his portrayal. I really, really enjoyed this actor.
Yeah, he's really good. He really runs with the character, and that's funny because again, most of this cast, this was their first film, because they did not. I mean, they had I think the budget of this was like $325,000, so they didn't have a lot of money. So they literally purposely hired first time actors for this film. So and I think the performances across the board in this are really strong.
Yeah, and very. You had mentioned earlier with the dialogue, like, they're written, for the most part, across the board, they're written in a way that doesn't seem forced. A lot of these scenarios and characters just seem authentic. I appreciated that aspect. There's little moments between certain characters where there's just little pauses and light little moments of dialogue that just seem very real. And a lot of times I don't think that movies of this genre take the time to kind of have some of these smaller moments, these smaller, quieter moments, you know?
Yeah, well, this film, if you people either, from what I've gathered, people either love this film or they hate this film. And if they hate this film, one of the biggest complaints, the number one thing you will always see, it's boring. Nothing happens for an hour. I mean, it's all characterization. But you know what? That's what makes this movie different. I actually appreciate that, and I think it's one of the reasons why I like this movie is because I like the characters. I don't want to see any of them die. I like them all. We get a lot of time spent with them. Yes, the movie is dialogue heavy the first 55 minutes. Good Lord, it is. There's a lot of dialogue, a lot of stuff, a lot of just conversations and characterization. I don't mind that, but apparently there are people that do, and to each their own. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I appreciate it. I think that's one of the things that makes this movie stand out. I would much rather have time with characters than have characters like in Friday the 13th, let's say Part 7, that you barely get to know and are just killed off for no reason. And I don't care because I didn't even get to know you. And I think another film, and we keep going back to other films that we covered, but I think another film that did that really well was Hide and Go Shriek.
Absolutely. I agree with that completely, yeah. Yeah, and Hide and Go Shriek, I would say, maybe had a little bit more of a hokiness element to it at times, whereas this feels very, even in their most absurd moments, I don't know. It seems, just like I said, I use the term authentic. I think there's like an authenticity to some of these characters. Maybe it's because they're on a college campus and they're just playing it like real college kids. But yeah, I don't know. I really appreciated how down to earth and real some of these characters are.
Yeah, they really are handled well, I think. And that's what makes this movie stand out.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, there's a weird van that we get a few shots of that is just kind of creeping around. And then we get into the chemistry exam, and the professor is this really like weird guy that is like, I'm leaving. He's like trying to be funny, and it's like, shut up. He's like, I'm leaving the room, and we're on the honor system, and I have my the grading assistants, and if they catch you cheating, I have a sniper that's up in that watchtower, and he's gonna shoot you. And I'm like, oh god. And then of course Radish is all excited. He's like, it's Charles Whitman. I remember. It's just again just weird, quirky dialogue that just
yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, this movie, the dialogue in this movie is really well done.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
Really well done.
And well delivered, and even the professor, which I thought was going to turn out to be a larger character beyond the arc he has, it was played rather well, and I was anticipating just more because starting it off, I was like, wow, like the acting in this, especially for being from the early '80s, it's not making my skin crawl. It is pretty impressive, yeah.
So the professor leaves, and he runs into Lisa in the hallway. And we immediately kind of get to know that they are apparently sleeping together because they go into his office and he's like kissing her, and she's like, I'm leaving tomorrow, so we have one more night. So this is your last chance to get some firm young flesh. and he goes to it's just really weird because he goes to shut the curtain or the blind, and she's like, well, why are you shutting it? Nobody here cares. He's like, well, yeah, I don't care if anybody here knows, but I don't want my bitch of a wife to know. And so he's like, yeah, I don't care. But I'm thinking to myself, is that like in the 80s, was it okay for you to just like sleep with your professor and it wasn't an issue?
A big element of this film in general is how things have changed.
Yeah,
as we will continue to see. But like, these two are just chatting it up about having an affair, not really caring if anyone can hear or see. The teacher the professor is all about it, all about cheating on his redheaded bitch of a wife, whom I was really hoping we'd see that dame too. I do have to say though, I get it. Lisa is leggy as fuck. She's got legs for days. That girl, I mean, she is stunning. I was shocked. I looked her up on IMDb. Was shocked that she didn't have more of a career because, she is a stunning young woman, and they acknowledge it consistently throughout the film. A lot of these characters have specific things that define them, and Lisa is the fact that she is irrationally beautiful, and it's true. But God, that girl's got some long-ass legs. Good for her. Yeah,
she's gorgeous. Anyway, so she's not putting out. She's like, I'm not putting out here. If you want it, you're gonna have to come meet me at the studio, my art studio tonight, and we will make it one last final night. Otherwise, you're gonna have to settle for your sagging wife. And she even says that, your sagging wife. And then she's like, how old is she now? 30?
Oh my God.
I'm like, bitch.
I was like, how fucking dare you? Oh right? God. As I ran to the mirror and looked at my crow's feet.
Right? This bitch.
This beautiful young bitch.
Yeah, so that's that. The professor's fucking a student, whatever. And apparently he does it all the time because he's like, oh, that's one of the perks of my... Because she's like, well, why don't... He's like, oh, I'm so sick of this. And she's like, well, why don't you quit? And he's like, because I love all the young women that I get to sleep with because they want good grades.
Nowadays, that would be problematic.
But... anyway, Radish finishes. They go back to the testing room. Radish finishes first, and everyone's like groaning, and he's like, I can't help it that I'm brilliant, and walks out. And then Wildman finishes right after Radish and like belches and just disgusting. He's like, and I can't help it that I'm offensive. He's like, I got shit to do, and he just throws his exam down. And they go outside. Okay, and as Wildman's walking, this is when we get introduced to another kind of character that does actually have stuff to do, but it's just like this. Again, these characters are just played so quirkily, and it's the coach. This big, like, fat coach that comes running up and knocks Wildman down, and is like laughing hysterically. Oh, I got you off guard. Oh, Wildman, I got... And he is just like this... What word would you use to describe?
Larger than life. I mean, like, the one thing that this movie gives us, and kind of like one after another, is an array of drawls. Like, coach, he's got a southern drawl that comes up, and he's always like, oh, wow, man, you go to get ready for that. Like, I mean, he's got like a thick drawl, and then we meet a sheriff, and the sheriff's got a drawl, and then we meet like the school janitor, or whoever that elderly man was, and he has a drawl. Like, it's like drawl, one after another. It was a lot to handle. All these characters.
I know. But anyway, so Wildman's like, well, I got to get going. And the coach is like, well, you better... Oh, and Radish comes up because then the coach asks Radish about doing the inventory, his equipment inventory. So apparently Radish is the little sports inventory dude. He's like, oh, I'll get it taken care of, blah, blah, blah. So, again, just stuff that comes into play. It's not like... And what's good about this is it's stuff that comes into play later. It's not dropped.
Yeah.
Like, there's a specific reason why Radish's inventory is mentioned. There's a specific reason why... It's not like these plot elements are just dropped.
Right. And what works is it's like... it's a relatively simplistic plot. As the listeners will come to learn if they have not seen the film, which I'm hoping they did, because as we all know, we don't give a fuck about spoilers here. But yeah, it's a very simple plot, but it is webbed and weaved together in a very strategic way that it all kind of makes sense why certain things happen the way they do. which I like about it, because you're right, they're little subtle details. Instead of like big, strange, absurd twists in the storyline, it's a very simple story, and it just kind of makes sense why people end up where they end up and why events happen the way they do.
Oh, for sure. And then we get the scene.
This would not go over very well in 2021.
No, if that's the thing, is like if this movie were to be remade, this entire scene would be not in it. There's no way. Right. And I'm surprised with where we are at, where people want to go look at older films and find them problematic and change things about them. I'm surprised nobody is. I'm sure maybe somebody has. I'm surprised there isn't a call for this scene to be removed from this film.
Yeah.
Because it serves a purpose. So it does serve a purpose. However, it is now where we're at, where we've been as a society. It is pretty jarring to watch.
Yes.
And what it is as all the students are leaving their prospective classes, a van pulls up, and a group of masked perpetrators with machine guns starts opening fire and basically gunning down all of the students on campus. And people are screaming, and it's just chaotic. And then they run up and grab the dead bodies and put them in a van and drive away.
We witnessed and this was done in a time when because this happened when it did, and very few, I'm assuming, school shootings had happened up to this point, they treat it with an air of like, this is just one other thing you might see in a slasher or horror movie. People opening fire on a full campus, on an active campus. And you're right, like nowadays we wouldn't even attempt to pull it off, let alone have like kind of like a like sense of humor about it. Because after the whole thing, obviously the twist makes it even darker. But God, I mean, like, yeah, watching this I had no idea what was coming the first time I saw this, and I was like, oh wow, this is shocking.
Yes, if you're watching this film for the first time now, yeah, it is a very jarring, shocking scene. It's very violent. It's
dark. It's dark.
And it just wouldn't fly now. There's no way this would fly. It would be,
let alone earn a PG rating.
Right. Look what they did to like Scream 3 after Columbine. They totally gutted what it was supposed to be and made it something completely different. So with all the school shootings that we've had, unfortunately, even on college campuses, look at Virginia Tech. I can see where some people are going to find this very uneasy to watch.
Yeah, I'm sure anyone who has not seen this, who's going to see this today, will probably be offended. A large volume of people.
There are people that will find this offensive. I understand that, but my only throwback to that is we cannot continue this trend of being offended by films that came out 40 years ago, 50 years ago, 60 years ago. You just can't.
Right.
I mean, there was a different time. Like you said, there were school shootings. Really, there were school shootings, but nothing like they are. They weren't a thing. So it is what it is. You take the film for what it is in the time period.
If anything, it should scare us that today these things sit with us in such a serious approach, because we have to, because it's so all too real. We can't. Not saying that an event like a school shooting should have a element of levity to it or anything. Desensitized by it, that it just naturally comes off as offensive because it's just day after day we're seeing it. Lives are being lost. No, absolutely not. But nowadays, it's something we're so desensitized, and that's a term that we hear so much. Whereas when this came out, and it's obviously it just makes sense to say it. This was in the film. It's used as a tool for a prank.
Yeah, I was going to get there.
Yeah.
I would say there is either going to, and that either however you want to look at it. Okay, that either makes it a little less problematic, or it makes it even more problematic. Because these students, what it is yes, we find out it's the Gamma fraternity house headed by Wildman, who pulled this elaborate prank. The guns are fake, everything's fake. The people that got shot it was just fake blood that they had on them. It wasn't real. And they did it simply so that the head Mark, the fraternity president or whatever you call them, could then, while the shooting was happening and was distracting everybody, he is able to like grade his own exam and give it an 82 and stick it on the pile of the graded exams. So basically they concocted this school shooting so that the frat president could get a good grade. So again, I mean, knowing what we know now, that is extremely oh my god, that's really cringeworthy. But anyway, so everyone's freaking out. Radish calls the police. Then that weird Elizabeth, little dorky Elizabeth, runs up to Courtney and Lisa, who are actually like laughing hysterically. And she's like, "What are you laughing about? Didn't you just see it was bloody murder, bloody chaos everywhere?" And they're like, "Yeah, but we also saw that the van had the Gamma fraternity sticker on it, so we know it was just a joke." And they don't seem too...
Very few people really seem fazed by this, which is even more worrisome.
They aren't. They really aren't. They are not fazed by it at all. Even like the people that still think that it was like real, because not everyone saw the van drive away with a sticker. You'd have to know that, because the campus had tons of stickers. So even like the other kids that just saw this, they're like, "Oh, okay, whatever." They go.
Yeah, people like disperse.
They go to the. Where do they go? They go to the cafeteria.
Yes.
Because the very next scene is the Courtney and Lisa walking to the cafeteria, and now there's a new van that's following them.
Yes. I do want to say another thing I noticed during the sequence where he was checking the tests. Like, you could hear the gunshots going off, and people are just taking their tests. People are like, what's that? And they, like, went back to, like, doing their tests. I was like, this really was a different time, I suppose. Nobody's, like, diving under their desk or putting a bulletproof fabric over them.
They're finishing this damn chemistry test.
Determination, yeah.
Whether it kills them. So we get the girls into the cafeteria, and they're in line just talking about random shit. Oh, what could we eat now? And again, it's very realistic. It's stuff that these would really be said. I mean, it's just like it's just a conversation two girls would literally have when they were in line getting food, because they're like, "Oh, what should I get? Oh, I should get a salad instead of spaghetti." I mean, people might find that just like nonsensical. Like, why does this need to be in the film? But again, it shows these characters and their relationship. And now this is when we get introduced to Janet again. She comes in, but now we get her little pledge boyfriend who is pledging to the Gamma fraternity house, and his name is Gary. And I love Gary so much. Gary is what's the word? He's so mousy and meek.
Yeah, he's very petite, very tight, small of frame.
He's cute. He's a good match for Janet, because they're both college age kids, right? But they literally both act like they're 13 years old. Like, literally. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that was a choice the director made to make these two characters come off as being way more immature compared to the rest of the cast, because the rest of the cast is pretty mature, pretty, got it together.
Agreed. Yeah.
And these two are like literally like it's like you're watching two junior high students like that are giddy about because they think they're in love. But he is told that he has to. He's taken outside and told that he has to complete a task to become as one of his pledge duties, and he has to steal an exam. And we get that kind of element that's thrown in there.
Yeah, and it's actually shot very well. The sequence, I just want to say, is shot against the lake of the campus, and it's like this really beautiful, again, picturesque. That word haunts me today. Picturesque. But it's a surprisingly beautiful sequence. A lot of these scenes, very pretty, very well shot.
Yeah, it is. I love it's a very, very atmospheric location.
Very.
They go back in and finish lunch, and Janet wants to know what what he has to do, and he won't tell her. He's like, oh, it's frat business. And she gets all mad. And then you get the scene where Courtney is done eating, and she takes her lunch tray to the lunch tray depository. I don't know what this thing is called.
It's like a little lift. It like takes it down. Yeah.
It's a lift. Yes, and this is another really cool, I think, shot and transition, because the camera goes into the lift, and kind of then it goes down, and you see the tray come out, and then the cafeteria workers are there. Really cool scene.
Yeah, this was actually one of the first moments that made me like go, oh, like I actually audibly reacted, just because to think that they would take the time to show the tray goes into the lift, it goes down, and then all of a sudden it's from like the perspective of the tray coming out as the employees like pick it up and wash it. It's really well done. And then there's a whole, not only that, but there's a whole purpose to like the flow of the sequence. Like it naturally flows into the next moment.
It does, and it's not like it is. And again, this film. I'm telling you, people, this film is smarter than it gets credit for, and constructed a lot more carefully than people give it credit for. Because this scene actually serves a purpose later.
It comes
in the
back
film.
to that location. Yeah.
Yes, it does, in a very similar way.
I loved it.
It's almost like a parallel or a mirroring of the two scenes. It's really interesting. But yeah, you're right, because it flows out, because the cafeteria worker is taking the trash out, and then Courtney's coming out. He runs into her.
Fucking van. The van is, so it's like did this full circle kind of moment of the van follows them for across the campus. They go into a building. They come out of the building. The van is there again. Like it's kind of always present in the background. Again, very Michael Myers with his car, but still kind of in their own way. They do it their own way. It doesn't always just feel like a Halloween ripoff. Yeah.
And now this is the scene where the sheriff shows up, talking in that exaggerated southern drawl.
Oh, that drawl. I do declare that every drawl in this is progressively more and more southern. They get more southern with every single character they introduce. It is like a parody. I feel like it's a cast of men, all different men of various ages, who have played Colonel Sanders at one point or another.
Could be. I mean, and this scene is very dialogue heavy. I'm not going to go into everything that's said, but basically, because it's about a 5-minute scene, it goes on quite a bit. And Radish is trying to explain that it was just a joke, but he got the license plate number of the van, and he seems very proud of himself for doing that. And of course, the sheriff goes and runs the license plate number, and it comes back, and comes back as Wild Man's dad. So he knows. So the sheriff is like, "I'm going to get you, mister." Then it's just a potpourri of characters that pop up, because now the coach comes back, and now the coach is like, "What you doing bothering these boys?"
Yeah.
And
yes, and they're out drawling each other.
Yes, and there's some like animosity between the two of them, and not only that, then you get the security guard that shows up.
The thickest of the drawls, and he's all he is a little drunk, and he said, my word, I'm on this campus, we got no crime here. Well, they keep insisting that there's no crime on this campus, which makes it seem all too right that there may or may not be a mass murder at some point in the evening. It's just very strategically worded. But yeah, it's a very strange scene. But one thing I want to throw out here. At this point, I appreciate the fact that Radish, being the nerd, there's always a nerd, but I feel the nerd is always the one that's getting beat up and bullied and taunted and intimidated. And I feel like Radish doesn't really give a fuck about any of these frat boys. I think because he's always like, I'm brilliant. He keeps acknowledging the fact he's the smartest one there, and I don't think he's really intimidated or daunted. He doesn't even seem to be fazed by the meatheads. You know what I mean? He's kind of like, he's both endearing and confident. He's strangely confident in his intelligence. And I really like some of these moments because they kind of try to bully him, and he kind of almost like laughs him off, You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't seem to be intimidated by these guys as much as some other films would do with this whole parody of a bully nerd.
Yeah, no,
Combo,
he's not intimidated at all. He doesn't give a fuck, and that's again that makes him more endearing. Like he knew Radish knew whose van that was. He knew what he was doing. He didn't care. You know what I mean? Like that's the first. Royal Man is standing right behind him. He knows that, and he still gives them the license plate number, knowing it's going to come back. He's so yeah. But anyways, they're like the sheriff like threatens Wild Man, and it's like if I ever see you. Here's a dime. You better keep this dime because you're going to need it because I'm going to kick your ass if I have to come back here.
Yeah, it's his one call. Because he's like, one day I'm going to arrest you, and when you do, you get one call. And don't you lose that dime. Like, it was so over the top. Like, I love it. I love it.
But they make the coach and the janitor, like, make fun of the sheriff, and he ends up, like, squealing away. He's all mad because... they make fun of him for using a gun instead of a bow and arrow for hunting. I don't.
Yeah, which also comes into play.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
So, anyways, then we get that. So that scene's into. Then you get Courtney going back to her room. There's a figure below her window watching her. Very Michael Myers-esque Halloween.
Very Halloween, like almost to a T. That felt like a ripoff to me. At least they cut away from it pretty quick. But I was like, that. Come on, like, that is an iconic shot through the window. But yeah, they do cut away from it pretty quick.
And this is where she has a conversation with Lisa about grades, and Lisa is basically, like, flaunting to her that, you know, I don't have to study, I don't have to do anything because I'm so pretty, and I just get what I want.
Yes. And then she lures two random men in off the streets, out of the two men out of a hallway. She's like, "Hey, would y'all want to come help me with these bags?" And like, two men who are never referenced again. They have nothing to do with the storyline. They just show up and they're like, "Oh yeah," and she's just bopping around in a pair of short shorts and tank top, just using her body to get what she wants. She's a woman who knows her talent, and I appreciate that about Lisa. And you know what, man? You use what the Lord gave you to your advantage.
Well, and she does, and it kind of pisses Courtney off. Courtney's like slams her book shut, and is like, then she goes into Radish's room and's like, they have a conversation. She wants some aspirin because she has a headache, but they do have a conversation about like life not being fair, and again, very, I think, deep conversations to embed into a slasher movie. Because there is about a 3 or 4 minute conversation about how life's not fair and people have it easy, and Lisa just uses her looks, and Radish is like, well, her looks aren't going to last forever, so, you know, your brains are going to definitely outdo her looks, so you just got to kind of deal with it. And
yeah, and there's like a slight hint of romance here, or at least romantic interest where it's pretty clear Radish is a thing for Courtney. But it's very subtle. This movie isn't heavy-handed with it.
Okay, so I don't know. I think Radish might be in the closet.
I thought that too, but I thought the way he delivered that line about how pretty her face is, I was like, that seemed very genuine. That's where I got that Ducky vibe.
But then right after what he says and the way he says it is very feminine. I don't know.
Yeah, I did get that vibe.
Not that means you're gay, but I'm just saying, like, I've always felt like one of the things that I think endeared me to this character is I do kind of get a queer vibe from him.
I can see it.
And I wish they would have, like, just went that route with him, because I don't buy the fact that he has an interest in Courtney, sexually or romantically.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's more, because their relationship more is like two girlfriends.
Yeah.
Talking, it's like she can share anything. She feels she can share anything with him. And I know, I mean, I never get the impression that she is sexually or romantically interested in him. So I feel like their relationship is very like they're two girlfriends.
I can see that. Like, he's just reassuring her in the sense he's like she.
And yeah. I think the comment later on about her having a pretty face wasn't anything that was supposed to be, in my mind, that wasn't him like hitting on her. It was very much him being a good girlfriend and trying to cheer her up.
That makes sense. And I can hear what you're saying about like the kind of gay undertones with the character. Very subtle. I think, though, one thing that this movie does to throw that off is there are a few moments coming up here that have some almost homoerotic tones with the bullies and how they kind of like manhandle each other. I'm sure you kind of know what I'm talking about, as they kind of get buzzed up and they're kind of pushing each other around and with playing with whipped cream and everything they do to Gary coming up. There's a few moments of kind of homoerotic undertones, which I think is just also the 80s in general. As we've been seeing, as we've been watching more of these films, like how many of these movies how many of these films would you actually say didn't have a single moment of homoeroticism or a queer-like moment to them? It's really easy as you watch it, with the 80s kind of being the time period where that was kind of coming to the surface, and even things like Boy George rising to the surface and everything and being more popular and mainstream, and rock bands taking on more feminine personas. I think we're starting to just see these winks and nods towards the queer culture, even in something as simple as what we're discussing right now with this character who, absolutely right. That could very well have been a girlfriend moment between a girl and her gay, and that's all it had to be, and they didn't have to go into the dialogue about it. And you could very well be right about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's my impression. I could be wrong. And you hate to assume someone's sexuality based on behaviors, but I'm just reading it as a gay man myself, and that's kind of the impression I got. Just because of their interactions before that moment don't seem romantic at all. They seem very, like, girlfriendish. But anyways, as she's going back to her room, you do get another glimpse of the killer in the mirror in the background. Like, his figure, you can see the killer in a mirror image. Or in a mirror, you see his figure. Again, another very Halloween-esque, in terms of this killer seems to always be lurking behind the character.
Yeah, and it's becoming very clear that not only is it Halloween-esque in the execution, but it's also Halloween-esque even in the presentation. Like, he's always shadowed. When you see him, his silhouette is very Michael Myers. Like, there is a very, like, looming, ominous, big-shouldered stance. He's just a big, foreboding form. We'll go into why that does or does not work as this progresses.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So she goes back to her room and she thinks that someone has been in her room because she thinks some of her things are missing or misplaced, and then she can't find the book she was just reading. So then Lisa comes in. Courtney's like, hey, does it look like someone's been in the room? My book's missing. And she goes to open the closet door and the book falls almost on her. And she's all pissed because she thinks Courtney did it. And Courtney's like, no, I didn't do it. Which is interesting. And then we get Janet comes in and she is all excited because Gary has given her his pledge pin.
Oh, she's thrilled. Going steady.
She is thrilled. Now, this again, I'm telling you, Mr. Kevin Williamson had to have seen this movie because this is very similar. This whole subplot with Gary and Janet and him giving her pin, him pinning her, and then what happens to him is very exactly like Sidney and Derek in Scream 2 when he gives her the necklace. And then what happens? So he had to have seen this film. That's just too coincidental. Anyway, so she's all excited about him giving her a pin, but she knows that he could get in trouble for it. And then they want to see the pin, and it's pinned. It's pinned to the back of her sweater. So apparently they must have been fucking or something, and he just pinned it on the sweater when it was on the floor or something. Yeah. And then they're like, "Oh, look at you!" And she gets all mad and storms out. And again, very childish, very childlike. She's like, "Oh, you can laugh all you want, but we're in love," and storms out.
Yes, and completely serious. I think there's no sense of humor to this girl. She's genuinely that offended. It was a very strange acting choices, especially considering how downplayed everyone else is.
Yeah. Now we get Mark and Wildman go into Radish's room and kind of rough him up for actually giving the sheriff his license plate number. And while Wildman is throwing Radish on the bed and threatening him, Mark steals his keys that are the keys to the gymnasium that'll come into play later. Again, this scene is very Radish gets manhandled pretty intensely by Wildman.
They all seem to like it.
And now we get into the kind of the crux of the movie where we are it's nighttime now. So the campus is especially deserted, and we get the character of Gary. He is fulfilling his pledge duty, and he's going to steal the test. I personally think that this scene is handled extremely well and is extremely suspenseful, and does not follow the cliche that you would expect it to. Because as Gary is going in, he's in the building, and he actually climbs through the office window to get into the professor's office. He finds the exam, and as he is reading the exam, he's like looking at the exam. Right in the background, the killer is standing literally probably 10 feet behind him with a large butcher knife. Okay, so but when Gary turns around to leave, the killer is not there. However, there is a long shot of him leaving, like walking down the hallway to exit this building, and the ominous music's playing, and you really are prepared for the killer to like jump out at any moment and kill him, and it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
He actually gets out of the building. And as he leaves the building, his frat brothers actually jump him, and that's kind of the jump scare. But I thought that this was handled very well. Like watching this, I thought like the killer's like he's literally right behind him. He's going to get killed in the hallway. He's going to jump out, and I think that's what we were expected. That was what the purpose was. We expected that he was going to kill him in the building, and he doesn't.
Yeah, I had the same impression from that moment. I do think it was played very well. I think there's a lot of examples of some more really great cinematography. There's some really good follow shots in this film. Really smooth follow shots. My one thing I really took away from this, and again, and I hate to continue to compare it to Halloween, but my God, that piano score. That piano score, it is as close as they could get it to the Halloween theme without it being the Halloween theme. But it does give that same like unsettling, uncomfortable vibe as he's sneaking through the school. And yes, you absolutely think he's about to get stabbed. And the fact he doesn't, I was surprised. I was surprised. I was waiting for it to happen.
Yeah, and it doesn't. But anyways, so the frat brothers take him and they tie him to a tree because they find out that he gave his pin to Janet. So they tie him to a tree and they proceed to like strip him almost nude. All he's wearing is his little tighty-whitey underwear.
Which they pack with ice. They spray him with shaving cream. They douse him with freezing cold water. And they literally tie him to a tree. Yes.
And I feel so bad for him. Because he, like, oh my God, poor little Gary is just out in the freezing cold in his little underwear.
The amount of time that he is tied to that tree, I would think that he... I would be physically, like, my skin would be white. My lips would be blue. I would be suffering from hypothermia. This poor guy, they literally pack his briefs with ice cubes and they leave him. And, like, he's there for a pretty long time.
Yeah, he is. And again, this is a parallel to Scream 2 because it's exactly what happens to Derek, the frat brothers. And it's almost the same thing where... If you remember in Scream 2, the whole scene where Derek gets grabbed by his frat brothers, it's played very similarly because you think he's being stalked by Ghostface.
Yeah.
And he's not. It's his frat brothers, and they grab him and tie him up. So it's the same thing. Like, I'm telling you, like, he had to have seen this film.
There were a lot of moments throughout this film where I was like, God, I see the influence of this film in later pieces of cinema. Another film that I got some vibes from was like Urban Legend. Just like, I mean, maybe it was the campus and everything, but like some of these moments, like looking like up the stairwells and everything, and it rings through a lot of different pieces that we've seen since.
Yeah, so Elizabeth is watching this unfold, and she's like Gary's screaming to her to go tell Janet, and she's like, "Oh well, okay, I guess I'll go get her." She's not. It's so funny. Her reaction.
Elizabeth's only other purpose in the film is for about 10 minutes.
She's like, "Oh, I guess I'll go get her." So she goes to look for Janet. And Janet is now in Courtney's bedroom again. And it's funny because this is a little moment that shows that Janet literally has zero sense of humor, because Courtney is sitting on her bed playing solitaire. And Janet comes in and says, "What are you doing?" And Courtney's like, "Oh, I'm studying." Because she can clearly see she's playing solitaire. Janet turns to leave. And Courtney's like, "Janet, hello. I was just kidding. Look what I'm doing." So it's again, this character is very dry. But anyway, so she's like, now she's telling Courtney, "Well, I don't know if I want it to be this serious with Gary. I love him, but this might be too much."
All within a day. Right? Like, all within a day. Yeah, and she's like, "I've outgrown him."
Yes, literally. She's like, "I love him, but this is too much. It's happened too fast." And
he's too immature.
And Courtney's like, "All he did was give you your pin. You're not married." And she's like, "I don't know about all this." And meanwhile, Elizabeth, literally, this character, Elizabeth, is walking down the hallway screaming, Janet McConley!" picking her ass as she's walking down. Did you catch that? She's literally...
I did not.
She's literally...
Oh, God, I'll have to rewatch it.
She grabs and she's picking her ass as she's walking. I'm like, oh, my God.
I love nothing more than a woman who's readjusting her ass crack and her panties.
Like the choices. I wonder if the director's like, "Oh, you didn't. It was really funny. Pick your ass." Or if she just really did it and they just caught it on. Maybe she really had to. The actress really had to.
I hope so. I really hope it was natural instinct.
So Janet decides she will go get Gary, and they're like, "Oh, do you want us to go with you?" And they're like, "Oh no, I need to do this by myself because it's my man, and I need to show him that I love him." Whatever. Just 2 minutes ago, you were
girl.
over. Yeah.
Crazy. Batshit crazy.
And now, if some of these characters haven't been enough already, now we go back to, we are at the Gamma Frat House with Mark and Wildman. And Mark, they're both drunk apparently, and Mark gets a phone call, and apparently this frat house sells drugs. Apparently, I don't know.
Yes, or at least Wildman does.
Yes, because they're like, "Oh no, we don't have pop. Oh, you want speed? Okay." So Mark's like, and in the meantime, like, Wildman is in the background, like literally like slobbering everywhere, spraying whipped cream in his mouth, like spitting it out. He has it down the front of his shirt. Just disgusting.
So gross. He changes his shirt at one point and like his whipped cream all over, but he doesn't do anything about it. And then he applies like spray-on deodorant under his armpits, and then he sprays his mouth with it. And I was like, who is this man? Why am I strangely aroused by him? I like him dirty.
Well, he sprays he puts the sweater on and then sprays the deodorant on the sweater armpits, not his actual arm.
Yes.
Yeah, and then he sprays it in his mouth. Okay.
What a stud.
But then they have this little plot where they got Radish's keys, so he sends Wildman in to get pills. They don't care what pills they are. They just want pills so that they can fake sell them. They can sell them as speed to the people that called. So, so that's that whole purpose there. So Wildman is ready to go do this. Now we cut back to Gary, who is like shivering intensely. You can tell he's freezing cold. We hear some footsteps. We're like, oh shit, what's going to happen? And who is it? It's the damn security guard with the southern drawl.
Oh, and he shows up and he basically refuses to free him.
I'm sorry. You would get fired.
I don't know if he got brought out or something, and then he proceeds to like take a swig of like whiskey. And then he goes, you think he's going to give him a sip of the whiskey, but then he just pours it down his icy underwear. It's so cruel. It's so cruel to poor Gary.
And this is a school employee who literally refuses to untie this naked, shivering kid, and then to top it off, pours whiskey on his cock.
Yeah.
And walks away.
How things have changed.
Oh my.
How things have changed.
You are...
Yeah.
Poor Gary.
You must have been personally very offended being a teacher and so forth. Being an administrator.
Okay, so then we have to cut back to Courtney and Janet, who are still talking, and because Janet hasn't left yet, and Courtney's telling her about the fact that the reason she's never pledged to sororities is because she doesn't like they're hazing. She doesn't agree with the hazing. And then she tells a story about a girl that killed herself last year because she wasn't accepted to sorority. And whatever that's purpose of that story is, I don't know, because then Janet's like, oh, cool. And she's like, I'm going to go get Gary now. And then this is when Elizabeth shows up, and clearly Courtney's playing solitaire, and Elizabeth like just grabs the cards and starts looking at them.
At this point, Elizabeth was giving me some heavy lesbian vibes. Not in the sense of hitting on Courtney, just in her existence and who she is. I get some strong lesbian vibes.
And this is that's the last we see of Elizabeth. This is the last. Never see her again. We never see her again. I don't know what decision was made. The fact that they could have killed another character, maybe the actress had to leave. I don't know, because
I'll say this right here, right now, man, is the fact that one of my things, I don't want to say a gripe, but one missed opportunity is there are many characters that are presented through the course of this film, I feel, who I anticipated I would see killed, who I do not. The sheriff does not come back.
He comes back at the end. No. That's the coach.
That's the janitor, right. Yeah. Or the coach does, but the sheriff doesn't come back.
The sheriff doesn't come back.
Elizabeth doesn't come back.
Elizabeth disappears.
The teacher, the professor. There's all these characters who you kind of start to get these story arcs that affect the major characters. Like, I was really thinking that Lisa's story arc, which is coming into play here in a little bit, would reintroduce that character for the sake of the body count alone. Why else have it, But as you'll find out.
Well, Gary, now we go back to Gary. He's still tied up, obviously. We hear footsteps again, and we're like, okay, well, what's this going to be? And he's like whining, oh, who is it, please? And now we hear the ropes being cut. Someone is setting Gary free, and we're like, oh, yay. And he thinks it's Elizabeth, and he's like, yeah, set me free, and we can go and make out and stuff. So as he gets free, he's like walking around. He's like, nobody's there, and he's like, who cut me free? Like, who's there? Somebody has to be there, but there's nobody there. And what happens is, as he's walking, the killer literally drops down from a tree. How he got up there so quickly, who knows? He drops down from a tree and proceeds to stab the shit out of Gary. Now I timed it. This is 54 minutes and 45 seconds into the film.
Yeah.
Before one of our main characters gets killed. That's almost an hour, and the film was only an hour and a half long.
Yeah.
So
I mean, everything happens in the final 25 minutes.
It does. I can see people like finding that an issue, or saying it's too boring for an hour because nothing happens. Because it's 54 minutes and 45 seconds. Plus, this is our first character death from one of the characters that we actually know, and it's not gory or bloody at all. At all. You don't even see, like, it's so dark that you don't even see, like, Gary, actually. You don't even, like, it doesn't show anything. It just shows the killer raising the knife a bunch of times. There's no blood. There's no, like, screaming. Like, Gary, like, I think lets out a grunt, and then that's it. So it's very it's not very impressive for our first kill.
Yeah, I think the one scary aspect is or not scary, but maybe a little unsettling. He's naked aside from being in his underwear, and he's standing there shivering, and he's kind of creeping around, and you get this really, really lovely POV shot moving past the tree, because Gary can't see. He can't turn enough to see who's there, but it goes past the tree and into the foliage of the leaves, and it's a really pretty shot. And then after that, it kind of like the whole thing, like you hear the sounds of the ropes being cut, but you don't see who's doing it. And there's like this whole kind of moment of like calm where he's just like looking around. He's like, I know somebody's there. Like, obviously someone cut me free. Who did it? And like he's standing there, and then all of a sudden you have the shock of the fact that the killer drops down from the tree above. And you do have like one shot of him of Gary on his stomach where you see that he's being stabbed in the back, but it is all very shadowed. But I think it's because it's kind of similar to me as, think of Texas Chainsaw Massacre of Pam when she gets the meat hook, but you never see the meat hook go in. You just see, but she's got that open back top, and I know this was intentional. They do the whole follow shot where you see her back and you know it's bare. So when that meat hook goes in, even though you don't see it, you have that glue kind of feeling because you know you just saw the visual of her bare back. I have a similar thing here. He's so revealed and exposed that even though you don't see anything, it's still an unsettling kill. It's not a gory kill, but it is it still kind of gives you like the heebie-jeebies the way it's done, especially with the timing of it. I think it's still an effective kill, but yeah, it is not gory.
I can see that. I'm just looking at it from a perspective of like 80s slasher fans who are used to the gore being like on display. If you think about some of the 80s slasher titles that are kind of held in high regards, they're very gory. They show the death. So I can see why, and that some people are going to say, well, I sat 55 minutes just to see this, which is basically a knife being raised and nothing really happening. I could go throw in the Prowler and see some real gore. But I understand, and I feel bad for the character. It's a very shocking, kind of brutal death because the killer is pretty relentless in this. I mean, he does stab, like his stabbing is pretty. Woo. Janet shows up. I mean, it can't be too much longer after Gary just got killed, but his body's already gone. Like, where'd the killer put? Killer took his body. It's gone. What's left is his shoes, and there is a kind of effective shot where she's screaming, "Gary, where are you?" And then there's like this like water tower type building, and you see from her point of view there's a figure standing on the balcony thing of this water tower. And it's just a figure. Silhouettes are used quite a bit in this film much like Halloween, and they're very effective. So she thinks it's Gary because she can't make out who it is. So she goes to look for him, and as she's going, she finds his jeans laying on the ground, and she's like, "Oh, Gary, you're so funny!" And she climbs the steps to this water tower thing, and all of a sudden, like the lights of it flicker on and off, and for some reason this scares her, and she takes off running. So she runs back down the stairs, and as she's running past the corner of the building, the killer like lunges out, grabs her by the throat, and like yanks her violently, out of shot.
Yeah,
and that's all you get. But it was a pretty violent yank, though.
Yeah, but that's all you get. You know what though, I will say this, and here's one area I was I guess kind of let down a little. Is this was building up to be. Yeah, I love me a chase scene. Who doesn't? And one thing about some of these moments is when the characters like start to flee. Again, they react very much as people, I think, really would. So Janet starts, she takes off, she's running, and yeah, it's effective. She was grabbed and pulled aside, but I was like expecting a big payoff from this moment, and you definitely don't get it. And there's a few kills here where you just never come back, you never revisit them, you never see Gary's body again. You never see Janet's body.
Yeah, you don't. Well,
it's not like there's a discovery moment. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting. I guess when you're trying to cram 7-8 deaths into 20 minutes, it's going to be pretty quick. Because now, right after Janet's killed, Wildman is in the gym and he's ransacking the cabinets for pills. Grabs a bunch of pills, shoves them in his pocket. As he's leaving, the scoreboard lights come on.
So creepy. I love that.
Yeah, because it's the gymnasium is pitch black, so all of a sudden the scoreboard lights up and it's set at 2 minutes. And he is like, "Who's there? Who's there? Who's there, motherfucker?" And he goes and he turns the gymnasium light on, and right in the middle, standing, is just the silhouette of the killer. And it's very creepy. It's very effective. It's just this hulking like figure in this green jacket just standing there. Yeah. And this is really the first time that we really get to see, I think, the killer's face like in full view. It's not being hidden. And I don't know about you, because this is another thing that's interesting, is this killer is not wearing a mask throughout the film. Mm-hmm. This is not a masked killer. And I can't think of many, 80s slasher films where that's the case, where the killer isn't like either like disfigured, like The Burning, or or is wearing a mask. Like on
the driller killer.
Yeah, the driller killer.
The driller killer. You see his face. I will say this, and I don't want to say that I require a mask for my killers, but I require a certain element of mystery, I think, to maintain that fear factor. And this guy, as soon as I saw him, without any explanation as to who he was, it kind of took a little bit of it away from me. It definitely did. He's just a guy, nothing special, with an ineffective haircut, and a rather basic everyday ensemble, with a knife, who, when he's shadowed, looks very much like Michael Myers. But other than that, he's just a guy with a knife. And again, I mean, not to say I need a mask, but like Black Christmas made it work without a mask, made it work just with shadow play and silhouettes. This, they thought it was going to be effective to show who it was, and honestly, I think it was one of the mistakes that they made. Because there's no... If you're going to do a movie where you're not going to give any form of explanation whatsoever, then don't show who it is, because once I see the face, I'm like, who the fuck is that guy? Who is he? Who is this man? He's not relevant.
I agree, because another thing, and I mean, we might as well just talk about it now, is the killer's motivation, or who he is never revealed. Never. You have no idea who this guy is or what his motive is. I guess we were to assume, based on the opening scene, that he just goes from college campus to college campus killing people. But if that's the case, you really don't hear anything about that except what happened in the opening scene when Radish comes up and says, hey, did you hear two... If there was like a serial killer that was stalking college campuses, you would think that would have been brought up. And then we could have been like, as the audience is, oh, okay, so this guy's he's been getting away with it, this is who it is. But there's literally no explanation at all who he is or why he's doing this. And he is a very like unappealing... I'm not saying he's an unattractive man, it's just very unappealing looking. There's nothing that stands out about him that makes him particularly, memorable. And then, he's just wearing like this green jacket and jeans. That's his ensemble. And I'm like, okay, could you have at least done something? I don't know. Just made the killer a little bit more memorable. It's like
foreboding.
Yeah, it's like the killer everything in this film had so much, like, to me, had so much thought put into it, except the killer.
So much character. Everything had so much character. So why does it's kind of mind-boggling to me that they thought that was going to be the most effective choice, because it really it takes the wind out of the sails, I would say. Yeah. And
then immediately when he turns on the light and sees this figure without even knowing who it is, he just like charges this person. Like, he doesn't know who it is. Like, it could be like, it could be the sheriff.
He does say, before he tackles him, if that's you, coach, he accuses... Remember, the coach earlier jumped out and tackled him.
Yeah.
So I feel like he thinks it's the coach playing a joke, and he's like, kind of, that's how I took it.
But he attacks... I mean, if that's his coach, he attacks him pretty damn violently. This isn't... Like, he runs full speed at this dude. Like...
Well, he's also drunk and drugged up off of the random pills now. So that translates here as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. I don't know. But... Wildman proceeds to get the ever-living shit beat out of him. Like, I mean, this killer fucks him up. Like, big time. Like, fucks him up. Like, punches him.
Bitch slapping him across the face.
Yeah, slamming him against the wall.
Yeah, kneeing him in the balls. He kicks him in the balls.
Yeah. And basically, he kills him by wrapping a cable from the weight machine around his neck, and then like pulling him so the like 300 pounds of weights are lifted and it's like around his neck, so he's basically strangles him with the weight cable. And I think this is actually a pretty brutal scene, like a pretty brutal death, because he lets him go and his body like flies back into the weight machine, and like you can see it just spinning around his neck, tightening even more, and like blood is coming out of his mouth. I mean, this is probably the most graphic death of all of them.
Yeah, but I think it's one of those things I was really expecting, like, and not to be like, I need a big massive kill, but I was kind of expecting, with where it was going involving the weights, like his head to get crushed. I don't know. And this movie doesn't ever go there. It really is. All the kills are pretty, like, kind of like, They're there. They happen. But I mean, the build up to some of them are actually quite effective.
And as he dies, the scoreboard goes to 0. Kind of a little touch there that.
Yeah, I like that.
And then we go back to Courtney, and she's in her room studying, of course, so that's all she does. And then Radish comes in, and he's drinking whiskey. And they have a conversation about why... She kind of confronts him about, why are you so, like, scared? Like, why are you so paranoid about everything? And he's like, well, because that's life. Like, psychopaths exist. People get killed every day. We have to just be aware of what's going on. Which is kind of interesting considering what happens, but and she's like, "Oh, you always make me laugh," and he's like, "Well, I better go do my inventory," and as he's leaving, he tells her to lock the door, and she's like, "Okay," and she locks the door, but then he goes to the room has 2 doors apparently, because he goes and knocks on the second door, and she answers it, and this is when he tells her that she's prettier than Lisa. That she has a prettier face, there's more there, and she kind of smiles, and he walks away, and this is when he gives that really, like, weird, he's talking to himself, he's like, I can't believe you said that, kid, and it's really weird.
Yeah, this is the main area. I took it as, like, kind of a romantic thing, being like, he likes her, but he's like, I can't believe you finally confessed it, but it would, no matter what the intention, it's a sweet moment between these characters. I like that scene, yeah.
This is now, again, Mark goes to the gym because Wildman hasn't come back yet. So as he's looking around, he finds Wildman stuffed upside down in a locker.
Yeah. For as simple, I don't even say simple, as basic as Wildman's kill was, being just like a strangle and bleed out, that reveal kind of sold it for me. I was like, oh, this killer, who does appear to have superhuman strength, I will say, this killer managed to shove this large football-playing man, or whatever, wrestler, or whatever he is, upside down in a locker. That's impressive. It's very impressive.
It is very impressive. And Mark really doesn't have that intense of a reaction, but he does like run out of the school, of the gym, and as he's approaching his car, his headlights come on for some reason. So then he runs back around the back of the building and gets in and locks the door. The keys are hanging next to the door for some reason, and he locks the door, and you can hear the killer start to bang on the door. And there is like a little tiny moment where it's kind of suspenseful because he's walking through the back. I guess it's like the storage area or boiler area of this building, and he gets to 2 doors, and both of them, it's funny because both the doors say danger, do not enter. So he walks to one, kind of looks at it, goes to the other, looks at it, and he chooses one, and he opens it and walks in, and as he's about halfway into the room, all of a sudden the killer jumps out of, I think it's like a trash barrel. Like literally jumps out of this trash barrel and shoves a knife through him, and it comes out like his back. And
yeah. Is it the most plausible situation? Is that really realistic that he could shove a knife all the way through a man's torso? No. That being said, it's still probably my favorite kill in the movie. That whole build up to him entering that room, and he's walking, and they just kind of like out of nowhere, the killer just busts out of this garbage can, and it's just like there's no time to react, and it's unrealistic and it's absurd, but it's also really effective.
Yeah, you don't see it coming. You don't see it coming, and like again, you can question like why would the killer know that he's going to go into that particular room? Why? But whatever. It's a really effective jump death that's handled pretty well.
I think the killer was kind of just placing his bets. I think he was like, let's hope it comes this way. And it worked out for the killer.
Okay, so and then this is just, like I said, this happens so... All these characters are killed so quickly because now Radish shows up. Sweet Radish. He is like starts to clean up the little area because Wildman destroyed it. And as he's putting football helmets away, now Mark's body falls out of a locker and falls onto Radish, and he's like shoving the body back in, freaking out, and he proceeds to go to the payphone. He's like, I gotta call the police. Talking to himself. I gotta call the police. I gotta call the police. And so he puts a dime in the payphone, calls the operator, gets the police. And you know it, because of what happened earlier, the sheriff does not believe him. He thinks it's another joke.
Yes, but Radish is not taking no for an answer. Radish is like, do your fucking job. There are dead bodies here. Like, Radish ain't fucking around. I like Radish. He's working overtime in this movie.
Yes, but you can hear the sheriff going, don't tell me how to do my fucking job, boy. And Radish is like, well, fuck you. If you're not going to do your job, I'll do it. So he slams the phone down, and he's like, I got to get to Courtney. So he runs back to Courtney.
Oh, he runs. He's sprinting like the wind.
And he gets to her dorm door, and it's closed, and he's banging on it. And all of a sudden, the killer's arm busts through, pulls him into the door, and you can hear him stabbing him through the... Yeah, and it's... Okay, so I have some problems with this. Radish did not deserve this. B...
Not at all.
How the fuck did the killer get from that building to Courtney's dorm, into her dorm room, knowing that Radish was going to show up?
C... How... Can the average person physically punch through a wooden door? That's irrational. It's not realistic, but is it effective?
But yes, it is effective. But my thing, going back to my number one thing, is this character, to kill him off like this, so quickly and just so like, I don't know. It bothers me because this Radish is the character that I thought
would stand up at the end of the day. Would step up to the
survive.
Yeah. Well, especially because he says to the cop, he says like, well, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to have to take charge of this. And like, he seems so determined to like save Courtney, save the day. And I really think, again, the term endearing comes into play. I was anticipating that this guy would kind of get the best of the killer, because he's the one that's been following this whole thing. Like, he's the one that told the story of the two students being killed. He's the one that called the police to begin with the shooting. He's the one that just found the body. Like, he's kind of having all these moments where it really seems like he's kind of the through story when it comes to...
I guess my big problem with his death, okay, whatever, he dies. That's par for the course. I've liked a lot of these characters. I didn't want to see Gary. I like the character of Gary. I even like the character of Janet. But it's the fact that, like, he is really billed in this film as being like one of the main characters. I mean, even on like the box art, I think his name is above Cecile Baghdadi's name, or they're right together. They're the only two cast members that are listed in the opening credits. So I find it a little upsetting that they didn't really give him more of a fight. Like, I would have felt better with him dying if he at least had got to try to fight the killer, and he died fighting. But to do it so like abruptly without him even
pathetic,
without him even being able to fight back, to me that was just a wrong decision to make with the character that
I agree.
That is your lead. Like, give him something to do besides just get killed. So.
Yeah, he has the most likability factor, I'd almost say, out of all of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
So then we cut to Lisa, who is waiting for the professor. So she gets dressed and she gets nude, and that's why the film got the R rating. That's the one scene that they put in there. They demanded, well, they didn't demand, but they required that actress to have, whoever played that character, to get it to do nudity so that they could ensure the R rating would happen. The producers did, anyways. Then Courtney goes back to her room and she finds Radish. He's like hanging in the door, like through a big like crack and like a big hole that the killer punched through the door. He's hanging there, and at first she thinks it's a joke, but I'm like, why would you, like, you really think he busted your...
Right.
Yeah, your
door's destroyed.
You really think Radish did that, knowing who he is? He wouldn't do that. So she realizes it's not a joke, and she starts screaming and running up and down the hallway, screaming, "Help me, please, help me!" And it reminds me of like Jamie Lee Curtis running in Halloween when she leaves the house and she's running down the street, just banging on doors, saying, "Help me, please, help!" Because nobody's there.
Yeah. I will say I like Courtney's. Her first instinct is to instantly like book it and lose her shit and just start screaming, which I respect. She's instantly just like screaming like somebody help me! Some girls in slashers make bad choices. We've seen it happen a million times over. Courtney, I feel, is not one of them. I think Courtney makes a series of pretty good choices, as we will discuss.
So at this point, it cuts back to Lisa, and this killer is just like, he can teleport because he's just going all over this campus within seconds. Because now he's in the room with Lisa, and she's laying in this bed with this like silk sheet wrapped around her, and the killer approaches, and she obviously thinks it's the professor, but he stabs the shit out of her, and that's that. And you don't see it; you just see blood like splatter all over the bed linens. Yeah, and that's
the artwork. It gave me a very Night of the Living Dead, Karen Cooper vibe. You know, like the blood splattering all around as she's being stabbed. I don't know. We've seen it before. I mean, we've said with almost every kill in this movie, that's not what defines this film. Though, I will say with Lisa as another character, I was really hoping for a chase scene. Didn't get it. Really, like, when it comes to her conclusion, it is pretty lackluster, all things considered.
It's like an afterthought. It's like they thought, they remembered, oh shit, we have Lisa, we better kill her. She's still in that room waiting for the because yeah, that's the one thing is
playing the
final
piano.
20 minutes, like you really have to suspend a lot of disbelief that this killer is able just to know where all these students are and to be there before they are, or to get there so quickly. Like it's weird.
Like, how difficult would it have been for her to, like, have gotten free, ran for a minute, found the professor dead? Like, you know, just another, like, head count. Like, you have all these, like we said, there's all these characters who've been introduced prior. I don't know. I feel like there's some missed opportunities in that final 20 minutes, you know? Yeah.
Courtney, there is. Courtney runs to the dorm, and she's screaming for anybody to help her. Nobody's there. We do see the killer shadow kind of descending the staircase behind her, which is interesting, and it's a cool shot. And then as she's like checking rooms, you hear a door slam shut behind her, and she turns around, and it's the door that was just open is now closed. So she's like, "Lisa, is that you?" So she runs to and opens the door, and the killer is standing in this room holding the knife, just waiting.
Just waiting.
It's weird.
He's just waiting.
It's a weird decision, because why did he do that? He could have easily just like came up and stabbed her. She was checking doors, but he makes this decision to go slam a door so she can go open the door and see him. I don't know. Anyway, she runs out of there, and we get a very, very good chase scene.
A very fast chase scene. I don't think we've seen many girls in a slasher book it quite the way Courtney books it. She's running like the Dickens.
She is running like the Dickens, and I love this chase scene. The chase scene in this film is probably among the best of the 80s slasher films. It really is. It's the way it's handled, and it is. There's a lot of stuff to it that makes it, really, really good. I think, because she goes and she gets into the cafeteria, and there's a scene where she's like hiding. She hears the killer breaks the window and is coming in. So she's hiding under these tables as the killer like enters the room. It's very like Halloween H2O, Jamie Lee Curtis under the tables as the killer's like walking among, and you don't know where he's at in relation to where she's at. So she's able to get out of the tables, and she runs back into the kitchen, and she gets on the phone, and she's like trying to call 911, but she keeps getting an error message. And then now this is where the pulley, or the thing that the dishes or the cafeteria stuff that was on the, what do you call it, the conveyor thing, this is where it comes into play, because all of a sudden in the background, while she's trying to talk on the phone, you see the killer's legs start to come down this.
So effective.
Yes, it's so creepy. Like this. Oh, and all of a sudden he is behind her, and she turns around and screams and runs away. Apparently, though, apparently on IMDb, she actually stabs him, but they didn't edit together well, so they left it out. But you can see in that shot when he approaches behind her, that's when he stabs her, and there's a shot when she turns to run away. It goes back to him, and you can actually see the handle of the butcher knife sticking out of him.
Oh wow, yeah. That's that. I'm gonna have to look for that because I feel like Well, first of all, a few things. You're saying that this being a great chase sequence, they use this whole campus location very well. Like when she busts into the cafeteria and she's like hiding amongst the chairs and everything, they just do a great job of using the environment. In the sense of like the like overall scale of violence, there's not a ton. Like she really doesn't, even with having cut this, stabbing or whatever, she does a really good job of defending herself. Like Courtney does a really good job of putting up a fight, beginning to end. I think she, when you say, she's one of the best final girls, is she kind of uses anything. She arms herself with that knife right away. At one point, she finds a giant piece of wood. Like anything. Anything to keep this guy away from her, she's putting it to use. And I think that's a really series of strong choices that are made. That's what I want to see in a final girl. I do wish she'd get some more attention because this whole sequence, you're right. No, I just think that she's really well handled for that last 10 to 15 minutes of the movie. I think she's honestly one of the best examples of a final girl fight sequence that comes to mind. And I don't know this movie that well. So I was really impressed with her character, and it's a shame that the actress hasn't done anything else, because I think she did a really fucking good job with it.
No, she did, because even like the very next thing she does is she's running through the thing, and she like trying to hide, and she looks into the freezer, and you think that she opens the freezer door, so you think she goes in there to hide. And as the killer comes to the freezer door, he must have heard it shut, because he opens it, and immediately she busts out of the pantry behind the freezer, behind the killer, beats him in the head with a big old pot, pushes him in the freezer, and shuts it and locks it. I mean, that's some Jessica Biel Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake shit.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so,
unfortunately, it's a double-doored freezer.
I was just going to say, unfortunately, she forgot about the other door, because she's walking away thinking she's safe. He just pops right out of the other door. So she runs out of the cafeteria, and she runs to the bell tower. And now I don't know how smart this decision was by her, because she decides to climb the stairs to the bell tower, like knowing that it goes nowhere. So she's going to be trapped. So that's kind of a poor decision. On top of a lot of really good decisions, this is one that I couldn't understand. Like, why are you running to the top of the bell tower when you know if he sees you, you're not going to be able to get away? There's no way to get away. But she gets up there, and of course the killer's coming after her. And at the same moment, the coach pulls up, because he's supposed to be picking up the maintenance guy to go hunting, because apparently now it's early morning. And so she screams out the window, "Help me, there's a killer, there's a killer." So the coach immediately comes in, and he like ascends the stairs, and the killer gets up to Courtney and is like getting ready to stab her. And the coach is like, "Freeze!" And he like shoots him with a bow and arrow, and the killer catches the arrow.
It is. I cannot even. My reaction to this moment, I was like, "Wait, what?" Like, this isn't supposed to be an average human being. Down to the point that we could just see his face now, clear as day. He's just an average man. But he literally catches the arrow in midair, and then he just kind of slowly charges the coach, and the coach just kind of walks right into the arrow. He stabs him with it. I was baffled by the decisions made in this sequence.
Yeah. He literally stabs the coach with the arrow after catching it midair. Goes back up to Courtney. She's screaming her fucking head off, and he is getting ready to do his thing. And luckily for her, because it's nothing by her doing really, but his foot breaks through the floorboard of the top of the bell tower platform, because it's old and rotted, so his foot's stuck. So she proceeds to grab a 2x4 and begins to beat the shit out of him with a 2x4, knocks him over the railing, and he is like hanging on to the rafter, and she proceeds to like beat his hands until he falls.
It really is an impressive climax. It builds up to a very impressive moment. It made me almost think of the Black Christmas remake. The first remake, 2006, the moment where he kind of falls all the way down all those floors down the hospital onto the tree. There's no tree here, but it's still this very dramatic. He falls like 5 stories. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, and it's really well done. It's almost like Vertigo / Psycho 3 / where you just see a body just falling down. And it slams onto the floor really hard. And like blood's coming out of his head. And you're like, yes, Courtney, you go, girl. Because you want Courtney to live. And so she, goes down, walks back down all the stairs to get out of the building. And as she approaches him, of course, you got to have that one final, the killer's never truly dead, because he grabs her leg. But she quickly grabs the butcher knife and stabs him repeatedly.
She loses her shit. Understandably
so. She loses her shit.
She, goes to town on him with that knife. Her hands are covered in blood. She really earns the title Final Girl by the end of this film.
Yeah, here's a little trivia that I found. In the film, she stabs him 12 times. Originally, when they submitted it to the ratings board, it was 18 times. And the ratings board gave the film an X rating because they said it was too violent. So they cut it down to 12 stabbings, and the film got its R rating. Which is interesting because because it was the same. See, it shows nothing. It does not show the knife going into him. It just shows her raising it. You don't even see his body. So I'm like, you were going to give a film an X rating for that?
Yeah, yet you're going to have a school shooting. You're also going to show, though it may be a fake school shooting earlier in the movie, but that's what gives you an X.
She kills him, and she goes and sits on the little step crying, and the credits roll, and that is Final Exam.
And not only do the credits roll, she sits down, she starts weeping, and beautiful
piano,
light piano and string music starts playing. Completely the wrong tone of music for the finale of this film. It's like a song full of hope and joy, and she's just she's the only one left. Just there's nobody else survived. It is a very strange ending, but I'm very happy she made it because she kicked some ass. That final moment where she's beating him with that piece of wood, and she just beats him into submission, and he's hanging from the rafters, and she's like, "Nope, not today, motherfucker." And she like I said, she earns the title of Final Girl in this film for sure.
Yeah, she definitely is among one of the better standout 80s slasher final girls. And definitely kind of captures that wholesomeness that we, kind of like a Jamie Lee Curtis wholesomeness that we expect final girls to have. This is the film. The film mainly does a lot of things right. I personally appreciate the fact that it takes so long with the characters because you just don't get that with a lot of 80s slasher films. You don't get to really care about the characters. I'm glad this one did take the time to do that. It is kind of rushed. All the deaths happen in the last 20 minutes, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then, the killer leaves a lot to be desired. But other than that,
absolutely,
I like this film a lot.
Yeah. I'll say that I'm very happy that they had such a focus on the characters, but I'd say the amount of focus ended up being at the cost of the violence and the horror. I mean, the horror at the end of the day. There's some really good suspenseful moments in this, but there's not a lot of payoff. That final chase sequence is great. I'll give you that. It's great. But it does leave something to be desired. But overall, there's a lot of really great sequences in this one, and I do very much enjoy it. You're right. The killer is very lackluster. But I see a lot of the influences on later films that maybe were more successful in certain ways,
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So that is Final Exam.
Final Exam. Great cast.
Great. I mean, it's well acted. Scripted.
Great suspense.
Script and dialogue the dialogue at least is I think is really good. It's not cheesy. It's not like eye-rolling inducing. It's very realistic. I think the relationships between the characters is very realistic and very interesting. So yeah, I mean, that's Final Exam. I'm glad you got to see it.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I did enjoy it. It wasn't necessarily my favorite, but there was a lot to take away from it. And I mean, I'm so curious to see what our next piece of cinema is going to be.
Well, I'm glad you asked, Roger, because our next piece of cinema is also, I just wanted to kind of stick with the era. It's also a slasher film from 1981.
Oh my God!
But I think it's one that's a little bit more well known. But I don't. The year
that keeps on giving.
But I don't see it talked about a lot. I don't see a lot of podcasts covering it, and I'm wondering why. So I thought, you know what, we are going to cover it because it is a trip of a film, and it stars the one and only Mary Ingalls, Melissa Sue Anderson.
Oh, wonderful, Melissa Sue.
It is the classic, I think, Happy Birthday to Me.
Happy birthday to you, meaning to me.
Even though, you know what? I could have saved it for September when my birthday actually is. But you know what? What the hell? I'm going to talk about it in April.
Yeah,
why not?
Yeah. I mean, we're close to your half birthday, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So it only makes sense.
So yeah, I am excited to talk about it with you because it's like I said, I think it's a really well known film, but I don't see it talked about.
Well, I know it has that really iconic image that a lot of people associate with it, with the shish kebab.
Shish kebab.
Yeah, I mean everyone kind of knows
that. It has that batshit ending, the batshit crazy ending that we will have to dissect because it is just over the top, just ridiculousness. But I love every minute of it.
We like them over the top, don't we? Yes, we do. Or under the bottom.
So, folks, if you have not seen Happy Birthday to Me before next week, please watch it because we will have our discussion. And remember to, if you like what we're doing, give us a rating on Apple Podcasts. Please, please, please give us 5-star rating. It helps us, and it'll help us kind of grow like we plan to. So
yeah. No, that's our goal. And speaking of growing, if any of you notice any, and I don't know if this will be the case, fingers crossed not, but if there's any weird audio pops, cracks, or hisses or anything, we're trying a new software. I have a new microphone. We have some new headphones. We're going all out.
We are. So
only the best.
So
only the best.
Hopefully
here.
The audio is better. If it's not, we'll go back to the old way. But I wanted to try something a little bit different. But with that, again, please rate us. Please follow us on Facebook, Dark Night of the Podcast. Find us on Instagram at Dark Night of the Podcast. On Twitter at Dark Night of the Podcast. And yeah, just have some fun. And we are going to quickly end this because this is almost 2 hours of talking about Final Exam.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Well, next one we're going to make it longer. Let's go for 3. Only until next time.
But thank you guys for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed it. And remember, happy birthday to me next week.
Happy birthday to me. Farewell.